What's up, guys? Welcome back. So this is a video that is gonna pain me to do, simply because this is one of my favorite comic book characters since I've been introduced to the comics. We're gonna be talking about Aquaman, and I don't think this is gonna be a very positive video. And specifically, we're gonna be talking about Aquaman 2. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Recently they had a full-length trailer come out. The movie comes out in December, starring Jason Momoa, Amber Heard, you know, all of Nicole Kidman, all of the people that were basically in the original are coming back and reprising their roles. And I'm scared. I'm very scared for this movie, simply because DC's going through a restructuring. They're restructuring the brand. They brought in James Gunn and Peter Safran, who is CEOs of the property, and DC has been in a very stagnant product since they've started making movies. Their movies have been up and down, just like a roller coaster. And I know you hear that a lot, the roller coaster, life is like a roller coaster. I know that comes across, and it relates to a lot of things, but their movies are literally like roller coasters. You have good, you have bad, you have good, you have bad, and then you expect them to be on this long stretch of good movies. They're there to compete with Marvel, and then boom, bad. So why am I concerned with Aquaman 2? The first Aquaman grossed over $1 billion at the box office on a budget of $200 million. Well, in between $160 million and $200 million. The second Aquaman movie, their budget is $205 million from the research I've done. I'm gonna throw in a couple of other numbers at you from two other movies that had to do with kind of the same premise. Avatar: Way of Water, James Cameron's movie, the second in his movie franchise for Disney. That movie's budget was $250 million. And this is gonna make sense on why I'm talking about this soon. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, which was produced by Ryan Coogler, that budget was $250 million. Now you may be wondering, why are you talking about the budgets for these two movies? And this is why. The underwater scenes for those movies were beautiful, felt realistic. You felt immersed in the scenes that had to do with those underwater locations more than you ever did with Aquaman 1 and seems to be Aquaman 2. Although James Cameron had around 12 years to play with the technology that led him to making this movie, Ryan Coogler did Black Panther: Wakanda Forever in about 4 years. Following the death of Chadwick Boseman, they had to go back and rewrite a lot, reshoot a lot. But those underwater scenes were great, in my opinion. Avatar: Way of Water more so than the rest of them, simply because that's what James Cameron dedicated that movie on, making us feel like we were there, you know, making us feel the weight of that world. At Aquaman, which is a movie based on the character of Arthur Curry, who is Aquaman, a superhero part of the Justice League, which takes place mostly underwater in the lost city of Atlantis, and with that mythology. And the first Aquaman, in my opinion, was a really good movie. And then I'm not just saying that because it's my favorite superhero. I enjoyed the movie. I suspended, you know, it was a suspension of disbelief, and you could get, you know, lost in the world that they were building with it. And at a time, it came after, you know, Batman v Superman, around Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League. So it was an exciting time for a DC fan. There was a lot of issues with the CGI and all of that. You know, I gave it, because you have a world completely submerged in water. Now, being that that movie grossed so much money, I would have thought the budget would have been a lot more, simply because of the success that the first one was. Again, $200 million, grossed over $1 billion at the box office. Second movie, $205 million for the budget, $5 million more. And I watched the trailer, and don't get me wrong, there's a lot of beautiful shots in the trailer. But from watching the trailer, I don't feel anything with the world that they're building. The lost city of Atlantis, the civilization of Atlantis, Zebul, you know, the kingdom of the trench, you know, you're supposed to feel. You're supposed to feel the environment. It's supposed to feel like you're there. And even watching the trailers, and even with the first one, this is a complaint with the first one, I didn't feel a part of it. And as a character, as a fan, you're supposed to feel a part of it. Now, I know what they did as far as the technology goes to bring all of this to life, which was they filmed it around a bunch of blue and green screens and then added filters over and around the characters to make it seem like they were in water. All of that. You know, James Cameron actually shot his actors underwater. That's why it felt more realistic and personal. I don't feel the weight of these characters actually being underwater. In the trailer, we get a shot of Aquaman stopping an underwater train. I didn't feel or see the struggle. You know, of course, it looked like he struggled to add to the characteristic of who Aquaman, but I didn't see the struggle. I didn't feel the stakes. Because ultimately, we know everybody on the train is going to make it out okay. I didn't feel anything when I watched the trailer. And I don't know if it's because of the rebranding. I don't know, but it's concerning because there was a lot of controversy that came out about this movie alone. This was, Warner Brothers lost the footage. They lost the movie. Warner Brothers has no faith in Aquaman, so they're not going to promote it properly. You know, you had some people come out, or some scoopers come out and say people walked out of the film. At first, because we thought Amber Heard was still in it because of her issues with Johnny Depp. But no, I recently read, and I'm going to spoil it for you, that the reason why people were walking out the film is because potentially Aquaman's child dies. Now, I don't know why that would be a reason for people to walk out the film. It's fiction. It's not real. It adds to the character's growth. It adds to the story. It gives us emotion to get behind on this character. It makes us feel why we should be rooting for this character and why we want the villain to go bye-bye. People walked out because of the baby dying. It goes back to what Zack Snyder went through with Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, all of the damage, all of the catastrophe. But Marvel can do the exact same thing and no one would bat an eye. Thanos wiped out half of life in the entire universe, babies included. And I highly doubt that they're going to show on screen in Aquaman 2 that the baby loses its life. But we know that Thanos wiped out probably 25% of babies. But no one batted an eye. It added to the story. It gave us a little, it gave us something to look forward to for part 2 in game when they Thanos got his comeuppance, right? Aquaman 2, I just feel like this movie is first of all, is not going to gross $1 billion at box office. I don't even think anyone's hyped for this movie simply because of the restructuring going on at Warner Brothers with James Gunn and Peter Safran. The movie's meaningless. It adds nothing to the broader story. It doesn't fit in with James Gunn's DCU, although it feels very Marvel-ish. The color grading, the humor. It doesn't feel like a DC movie. And all of these DC movies as of late has felt a lot like what Marvel has been doing for the past decade and a half. For the past 15 years. This new slate of DC movies has felt exactly like that. Blue Beetle was a prime example of Ant-Man and Iron Man. The Suicide Squad was like the Guardians of the Galaxy. Shazam! Fury of the Gods. What can we compare that to? Again, was like an Avengers movie. Although these are two separate properties, completely different superheroes, based off of each other, may I add. Namor came before Aquaman, but Namor or Namor felt completely different than Aquaman, which was the first in Marvel, because Namor was a very serious villain. Aquaman has turned into what Namor was supposed to be because of the property that it's with. I don't feel the stakes. Watching that 2-minute trailer, I don't feel the stake. I don't feel it. I'm not happy. Yeah, I just made a video recently why DC is disappointing me as a fan. I am not happy with this property or what they're doing with these characters. I'm not happy with where it's going. I'm not happy with what is gonna happen because I see what's gonna happen. We already got to look inside of it with Peacemaker, the Suicide Squad. And we know James Gunn can make a really good Superman movie simply because Brightburn was a James Gunn movie. James Gunn directed the movie. It's like a take on evil Superman if he decided not to go with the morale that he has. This was pretty good. I enjoyed it. But being that they still, although they are the CEOs and co-CEOs of this property, still have to answer to David Zaslav. They still have to answer to him. And if they see that the Marvel formula is still successful, they're gonna still want to copy that formula. And Marvel has genuinely just went completely downhill after Endgame, after the Infinity Saga. It went complete. I don't even watch anything that has to do with Marvel anymore. None of the shows. I don't plan on watching the movies that's coming out. I haven't really. It's not comic book fatigue. It's not comic book movie fatigue. It's not superhero fatigue. It's people making bad movies. Studios making bad movies. No one's gonna care. At one point in history, in film history, you were a laughingstock if you were gonna be involved in a Marvel or DC movie, in a superhero movie at one point. Now, or at a certain point, everybody wanted to be in it. Everybody. And I see it going back to where if you were in a superhero movie, that's where your career goes to die, because they're not what they used to be. Jason Momoa got his name back from being Aquaman. That's how he got his name back, when he was cast as Aquaman. BVS, the scene where I guess they found that they were exploring the Titanic. He came out, pulled back, stabbed his trident through the submarine, and just that scene right there carried more weight than Aquaman and Aquaman 2. It felt realistic. It felt like I was watching that scene on the news. Justice League. Any other underwater scenes on the outskirts of Atlantis. It felt real. It felt, that's Aquaman. That's a serious character. This is a serious universe that has shown that they aren't afraid to show us what it would be like if these superheroes actually existed. Collateral damage. They've even went the political route. You know, and there was nothing wrong with it. Everybody accepts it with The Boys. The Boys is just the spoof on all of the superheroes. The Deep is a spoof on Aquaman. Soldier Boy is a spoof on Captain America. Black Noir is a spoof on Batman. Queen Maeve is a spoof on Wonder Woman. It's acceptable for The Boys because they know what they are. They've built their identity on what they are. DC was starting to get to a point of building its identity on being very serious. And this is something you need to take serious, because this is actually what would happen if superheroes like this existed. Godlike beings with godlike powers actually existed. And now we have a studio that runs how you make movies, that runs what checkpoints they need checked off when you're filming a movie. Marvel does the same exact thing. You have one person leading it all, and we've seen how that's gone. Identity politics, race swapping, gender swapping characters. I mean, both have done it, but Marvel's more prominent with it. Do I see that as a problem? I do. Taika Waititi just recently said, if you want comic book accuracy, go read a comic book. You're shooting a comic book movie on a comic book character that is famous because of a comic book. What do you mean? It's an adaptation, you buffoon. Aquaman that we see with Jason Momoa is an adaptation of a version of an Aquaman from the comic books. What's the problem with being comic accurate but putting your own spin on it? Listen, I write my own scripts. I have the pleasure of shooting my first short film next week, hopefully. I have no problem with following what has been laid before me and putting my own inspirational spin on it. That's what you're supposed to do. You're an artist when you film, or when you write, or when you draw, or when you sing, or when you rap. You're an artist. There's a certain art, and that's an art that not a lot of people can do. Again, there is nothing wrong with following what has been laid before and putting your own spin on it. It becomes a problem when you put too much of your own spin on it. Thor Ragnarok was pretty good because it was a different take on the character. Then Thor Love and Thunder came out and just rewrote the whole character. The only good thing about that movie was Gore the God Butcher, and Gore the God Butcher was crap because that's not the Gore the God Butcher from the comic book. But they didn't want him to be compared to Voldemort from Harry Potter, which are completely two different people and look completely different if you would have done the prosthetics right. But don't get me started. We're talking about Aquaman. So Aquaman is again facing Black Manta, who I am glad that they brought back from the first Aquaman. This wasn't a one and done villain. I'm glad that he actually came back and he's gonna face Aquaman, and he's gonna pretty much, from what the trailers has told me, be equal to or maybe more powerful than Aquaman. He has the Black Trident, and we don't have too much history on that that trident or the lore behind it from the film aspect of it, so I'm not even going to assume what it is or where the powers come from, or stuff of that nature. But I am excited to see what happens with that. I'm watching the trailer. I feel that I'm just like, oh my god, the color saturation. Oh my god, tone it down a little bit. It's bright. The CGI just looks terrible. It's like they was in the middle of editing, and then the studio came in and was like, you know what, you can stop. It looks all right. They'll accept it for what it is, because the first Aquaman, although the CGI and the special effects didn't look all that great, they look a hell of a lot better than what we're about to get. And I'm hoping, because this movie comes out in December, they're still polishing it, but I highly doubt it. And then when the movie comes out, the studio's gonna probably be like, oh, this is from the perception of Aquaman. We're seeing it through his eyes, like they did with The Flash, where they tried to cover up that bad CGI was from Flash's perspective. He runs super fast. he doesn't see everything like a damn cartoon. Aquaman, we're supposed to see the underwater world from Aquaman's perspective. So what is your excuse? And I love James Gunn as a director. One of my many inspirations. Him, Zack Snyder, Guillermo del Toro. I can name a few of my inspirations. And I can tell he really doesn't have a say-so on what goes on here, because you have Peter Safran and James Gunn, and they answer to David Zaslav. And James Gunn's doing his own thing with this universe, which I'm not confident in whatsoever, because yet again he is, and this is the point where I say he is introducing characters that literally no one knows about. We knew about Star-Lord, Rocket Raccoon, Groot, Drax the Destroyer, Gamora. They showed up in cartoons, you know, comic books, games. No one knows anything about these characters that he's about to introduce. And I read the comic books, and I didn't even know they existed. I apparently wasn't reading the right comic books. I knew about Rick Flagg's dad, but that's about it. All these other characters, I know who Swamp Thing is. I love Swamp Thing. I watched the show. I was mad when they canceled that. James Wan was an executive producer on that show, and that show was real good. They canceled the show before season 1 came out. All of season 1 came out. The Trench, which was supposed to be directed by James Wan, which was going to be a horror movie on the creatures of the Trench, was canceled. Everybody was looking forward to that. Ava DuVernay, I don't think anyone was looking forward to that at all. Was going to direct a New Gods movie. That would have been supposedly an adaptation of Jack Kirby's New Gods. It wasn't going to be an adaptation, I can tell you that damn much. Have you seen any work that Ava DuVernay? Not good. Go watch Naomi. Just saying. This is a very concerning time, and I'm keeping my hopes very, very low with this movie. I'm keeping them very low. I'm not walking into it like I walked into Aquaman 1, excited, ecstatic, over the roof, because after this is pretty much dead. The whole and you say what you want about Zack Snyder's universe. Say what you want about it. It was original. It was a new take on it, and it was going somewhere. There was a world being built. We would have seen a lot that we have never seen before in DC. He was exploring the New Gods. He would have probably explored New Genesis, Blue Beetle. He was exploring Atlantis, clearly, because I think he was also a producer on Aquaman. He was a producer on Wonder Woman, not the bad one. But he was he was building a world around what he'd created. So it gave us something to look forward to. And now I'm not looking forward to it, because where is it going? You know what I mean? It's sad, because for so long I invested a lot of my money into these characters, these stories, these comic books, these action figures. I invested a lot of my money into it, and to see that it's gone from one thing to something else is very sad. And hell, Batman and Robin was terrible, but I choose that over what's been pumped out. The Batman was great with Robert Pattinson. I loved it. That's an Elseworld story. Zack Snyder's Justice League, I very much enjoyed. Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition, I very much enjoyed. Wonder Woman, I very much enjoyed. The first Aquaman, I very much enjoyed. Man of Steel, I very much enjoyed, because it was a realistic take on these characters. It inspired, it motivated. Hell, it left the whole fandom split down the middle. And some of those people that say that they hate it actually love it, but they're just following a trend. You can say what you want, but it was going somewhere. This new phase in Marvel is going nowhere. Where is it going? Kang, who now looks to be like they're gonna recast it because of Jonathan Majors' issues, legal issues. What's going on with the comic book world right now? I'm reading more independent comics than I Image Comics. What's going on here? Aquaman 2 gives me nothing. I don't feel anything. I don't know whether I'm gonna go watch it in the movies and then bring you guys a reaction, or if I'm just gonna wait for it to go straight to streaming. I waited for Shazam to come out on streaming. I went to see Blue Beetle, but what's going on? That's all I want to know. What is going on? Where is my money going? Because it's not going to making these movies better. It's a product at this point. It's a product. The product is broken. The product is trash. The product is terrible. And James Gunn, with how talented the man is gonna make it worse. He's already done a bad job. Blue Beetle was supposed to be the start of his DCEU. Look how that turned out. Flash was supposed to reset it to his DCEU. Clearly that didn't happen. Shazam! Fury of the Gods. What happened? Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. What do you think is going to happen? Now I hope I'm wrong. And I will be coming to you guys with a video stating that I'm wrong. I'm man enough to admit when I'm wrong, but I don't think I'm going to be wrong. This movie is not, I don't have a good feeling about it. I don't think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be a joy to watch, but there's a difference between a joy to watch and good storytelling. Fast and Furious franchise is just that, a franchise that you can throw on the TV because you're bored and watch it. You know what I mean? It's just like that. There's only a few movies out here that you can put on and sit and actually get some substance from it. And now it's feeling like it's a lot fewer than more. What's gonna happen? I really need to know. I really wanted this to, because you're exploring a new kingdom that we didn't get to see, the lore behind a new kingdom. What happened to this kingdom's king or queen, or why is this kingdom lost? I know they'll probably explore that in the movie, but what's the point in putting this movie out if it's not gonna mean nothing on a grander calculus of things? If this is just gonna be reset, was there really a point to them putting this out? I would have much rather them shelve it and just be done with it, since everything's being reset anyway. Nothing's staying the way it was or is. They don't even know what they want to do as far as their characters go. Superman was recast, Lois Lane was recast, but Gal Gadot staying as Wonder Woman. Last time I heard, Jason Momoa is staying as Aquaman. Ezra Miller's probably staying as the Flash. They don't even know what they want to do. But there's a 10-year plan? Come on, be realistic here. You're just wasting time. That's it. You guys like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know in the comment section what you think about this. Let me know if you're hoping that this movie turns out good, because with the rate that they're going, this universe, they may have to sell this property. I just want them to sell the DC property. Sell it to somebody to do some good with it. Not some in and out, in and out, in and out. You guys let me know in the comment section what you think. Thank you for being here. This was more of a rant video. I had to vent. I had to get this off my chest. It is a 33-minute video. I hope you guys enjoy. Make sure you share it with people that watch and read the comics. Lord have mercy. All right, guys.